So JT Kenney, we have officially crowned a brand new world champion. He is, no surprise to you, Greg Hackney. He was your official choice before we got into this whole thing, this championship round on Kenansville Lake.
Yep.
You answered before I could finish the question, who do you think is going to win? You said Greg Hackney.
He's a flipper. He's happy when he's got a flipping stick in his hand, you know, throwing a jig, and that sets up perfectly for Kenansville.
Yep.
You know, those fish feed a lot on bluegills. That's what he's representing with the jig.
Yep.
You know, he likes to throw heavy weight, heavy line. That's what Kenansville is. It's flipping hydrillomats.
Let's look at the official stat line. Hackney caught 10 fish for 32 pounds. And I think that most of the viewing public who have heard the name Kenansville, Jurassic Park, whatever you want to call it, would be shocked by the fact that his average weight was just over 3 pounds.
Yeah, I like I said, I was a little bit shocked at it too.
Yeah.
But no matter how good, and Jurassic Park, you're right, that's what we used to call it.
Yep.
But no matter how good of a lake it is, some days they just
Sure.
don't bite. And
Yep.
Unfortunately, we hit it on a day like that where there's a lot of other places in the country where we would say 10 fish for 32 pounds is pretty doggone good.
Count me in.
Right,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know, Kenansville, I would really have expected it to have been higher than that.
We did have one fairly impressive fish. Kenney caught a 7 late. He ended up almost 7 pounds behind Hackney. Tried to make a charge. So we did finally get a little bit of a glimpse of the Florida giants that we've all been waiting for this week.
Right.
But 7 pounds, still not quite as big as you would think.
The weather just really wasn't
Yeah,
that good, and unfortunately, the Florida strain of bass, they get great big, and that's what we all want to see. But they're very fickle, and we just happened to hit a week where we had a lot of heavy wind and weather changes and stuff, and that just unfortunately doesn't line up very well. But that's one of the things that makes Florida really good, because when you have these dips in the weather, and then when the weather straightens out, it gets really good really fast.
So a little bit of statistical analysis on Hackney's week. He fished 4 rounds. If you take out the sudden death round that he fished on Blue Cypress, which was, in your words, not a typical Florida lake.
No, it's not at all.
He caught all but 2 of his fish flipping a jig.
Right.
So your official advice to anybody who comes to Florida to fish Kenansville, Garcia, any of those lakes, bring a lot of jigs?
Yeah, it definitely is one of the best things. Like I was saying, a jig in Florida, you're emulating a bluegill.
Yep.
That's what a lot of the bass, especially in the wintertime when most people want to come to Florida, because our weather's, even though we might say we're having a little cold front come through, to everybody else it's a warm front.
Yep.
But they feed on bluegill a lot in the wintertime, and around, the wintertime in Florida is when they spawn, and around the spawn they really feed on those bluegill pretty good, and after the spawn too, and man, a jig just really fits the bill.